All right, so I got everybody's grades in for the most part. They didn't turn it in. Most students they get a 0 on it. So I'm going to go over this exam. Serene did really well, and I asked him. He said I could use this. So I'm going to go over this exam, this quiz, real quick. And this was really just building off that foreign policy that Hitler had, okay, and moving into the advancement where we're kind of going to stop at in Western Europe, right around the time 1940, moving into 1941. All right, so like I said, I want to break it apart in small chunks here because there's a lot of information. There's a lot of stuff that obviously we go over in this class, and I don't want to just smack you with a large test towards the the middle or the end of the chapter. So I want to break it apart into small sections. All right, so quiz from yesterday: Hitler's expansion in Western Europe. Number one, who did Hitler make an agreement with to take over Poland? This kind of sets the stage for him to allow to expand Germany's military and its power towards Western Europe, and that's the Soviet Union. We all know, right? World War I, Germany was in a two-front war. Okay, they had to fight Russia in the east, and they had to fight Great Britain, France, and even America, on the Western front during World War I. And Hitler didn't want to make that same, I guess you could say, issue or problem. So that he signed this non-aggression pact. Okay, after that, we're done talking about that, I promise. So after Hitler took over Poland, what countries did he attack next? Denmark and Norway. So those two countries he targeted next. And we went over those reasons, which is a short answer. Resources like iron, build up a stronger military, expansion of the Navy, and Lebensraum, right? Tesseract. Oh, Jeffrey actually put that in his response. All he did was put Tesseract down and gave him full credit. I'm just kidding. I did not do that. But it was cool. I'm glad he put it in. All right. What was the operation name of Germany's invasion of the Scandinavian countries? Operation Weserübung. There you go. Okay. A lot of it just because there's a river called the Weser, and it's kind of right along up into Denmark into Germany. Okay. And it allows Germany to create the strong navy to challenge Great Britain. So after Germany's Norwegian campaign and the Munich Pact failed, Neville Chamberlain resigned as Prime Minister of England. Who replaced him as Prime Minister? Winston Churchill. Okay, Winston Churchill. We talked about him quite a bit and how he was really a moral success, I guess, for Great Britain. How he was really a man of words to try to keep inspiring Great Britain to continue to fight and not surrender. Winston Churchill. And we watched that movie Darkest Hour. No, it's pretty good. Check it out. Gary Oldman, yeah, he plays Winston Churchill in that. That's Commissioner Gordon in the Dark Knight series, and he does a pretty good job. All right. So, what were the reasons for Germany's invasion of Scandinavian countries? Naval advantage and growth, Lebensraum, and resources such as iron. These countries were taken over before the German invasion of France, Netherlands, Luxembourg, and Belgium. And we know that they're located between France and Germany. Right up here, okay? Right up here. So let's not attack through the marginal line. Let's attack through these smaller countries. Yeah, and then at the same time, we have the ability to expand our navy even more. That's what Germany was thinking, right alongside, along top of that North Sea. This battle occurred on a beachhead in France that stranded 400,000 British and French troops as the Nazis advanced into France. Battle of Dunkirk. Anybody watch that movie? Oh, another Dark Knight reference. The director created that movie. How cool is that? Batman's really getting a lot of love here today. Yeah, so Battle of Dunkirk. Okay, we went over that and how these troops were stranded on this beachhead, and it was really nowhere to go. And it was just amazing Operation Dynamo, right? Which saved many of these troops from imminent death by Germany. Luckily, Hitler stopped his advancement, and he could save these troops and bring them back to Great Britain and to fight another day. So 1/3 troops, soldiers that were saved right here. It's amazing. And we all know what the next question here. This operation is created to save over 338,000 troops by Winston Churchill, by British civilian ships, Operation Dynamo. So the civilians, the citizens, Churchill called for them to try to help these people out, help these soldiers get back to England. Unfortunately, yeah, there's some supplies and armaments that were left on the beach. It is what it is. But saving 338,000 troops, in a way, is a success. Okay, but Churchill comes out and says, we can't win on evacuations. We can't win on retreating. Okay, we need to continue to fight here. But in a way, I guess you could say this was a win for Great Britain. And it just showed that their citizens weren't going to give up, that they're not going to surrender, that throughout this war, even through the Blitz, they are going to continue to fight. All right, this body of water separates England and France, the English Channel. So one of Great Britain's greatest defenses for hundreds of years, that English Channel. It's hard to travel across it, hard to invade. This is the name of Great Britain's Air Force, the RAF, the Royal Air Force. There you go. Tuskegee Airmen, right? No. The RAF, Royal Air Force. So we know them as being very combative in the airs against the Luftwaffe during these bombing runs of the Blitz. I don't know. Oh, I'll have to check that. I'll have to check that then. How long did it take for Germany to take over France? Around 35 days. All right, it comes up 6 weeks. Okay, just a little bit over a month. All right, not too long. Not too long. Germany took over France pretty quick. And what tactic did they use, Forney? Blitzkrieg. Yeah, good job. And with that, Hitler accomplished what Germany could never do before. Even in World War I, the Franco-Prussian War, I guess they could have took them over if they wanted to, but they just stopped. But Hitler did it just like that. So German nationalism had an all-time high. What year is the Franco-German armistice signed that showed Germany's successful invasion of France? 1940. And they signed it, the Wagon of Champion, right? That was the same rail car that Germany surrendered in World War I. This French leader accepted the defeat and surrendered to Germany, Marshal Pétain. He would be viewed as a backstabber to France, as a person, what do they call it? A Benedict Arnold, if you will, right? He was one of the men that fought in World War I, and he was obviously on France's side, and he was really successful, and he really gained a lot of support by the people because his battle at Verdun, right? Him fighting in Verdun. But in a way, he kind of kneeled to what Hitler wanted to establish, and he would run this puppet state that France would be of Germany, which we'll talk more about. So Marshal Pétain. This was the planned invasion by Germany to take over Great Britain, Operation Sea Lion. We all know that didn't really happen because of, obviously, the Norwegian campaign took a lot of resources, a lot of men, and the advancement over the English Channel would be very challenging. So Hitler decided to do something else, and we know that as the Blitz. This battle was more of a bombing campaign by Germany over Great Britain, but ended to be a victory for Great Britain, Battle of Britain. Okay, and we all know that as the Blitz. This form of technology was very useful to prepare for incoming aerial attacks. Radar. So that weapons of warfare activity that you completed, that should have been very helpful for this. This term was used to describe an aerial raids on England by the Luftwaffe, the Blitz. It's just really short for Blitzkrieg, lightning warfare. So rather than invading, let's just save some manpower and troops and just dump a bunch of bombs on target civilian centers rather than maybe the industries manufacturing of these airplanes. And that's kind of how the RAF continued to fight, and Great Britain didn't give up. So there you go. What type of bombing runs are described as carpet bombing? Devastating bombing attack that seeks to destroy every part of a wide area. Saturation bombing, right? Saturation bombing. So you're really not strategically targeting one area. You're just dropping a payload of bombs down. That's why they call it carpet bombing. Saturation. What type of bombing runs are described as military strategies used in total war with the goal of defeating the enemy by destroying its morale, economic ability to produce and transport material, and military operations, or both? Strategic bombing. So targeting supply lines, targeting military bases, targeting factories, industries that are creating these war machines. Best way to eliminate your enemy is cut off their supplies. This group of people in America wanted to get involved in the Second World War. Interventionists, right? They wanted to get involved, wanted to try to get involved with the war. They knew what Nazi Germany was all about, their advancement. Okay, and these people wanted to get involved before we were maybe next target. This group of people in America did not want to get involved in the Second World War. Isolationists. So isolate yourselves from the rest of the world and these European affairs. That's what happened at the end of World War I, moving up until 1941. This was the term given to the draft that was created at the start of America's preparation into World War II. This was the first peacetime draft. Selective Service Act. Right? Selective Service Act, we talked about that. There's one in World War I, okay, again in World War II. This is the first time there was a peace, during peacetime this draft occurred, which is interesting. Neutrality Acts in the 1930s in America prevented the U.S. from trading with belligerent countries in the world. One of the main reasons the U.S. got involved in World War I is because we made a pretty penny, made a large sum of profit off of trading to both sides, the Central Powers and the Allied Powers. To try to avoid getting involved into another war, the Neutrality Acts were established by Congress to prevent the U.S. from getting involved. Okay, so we're not allowed to trade with these countries at war. Okay, during the Depression, probably would have been helpful, right? But to try to avoid conflicts in Europe and the world, we decided to stay out of it. All right, describe how Hitler looked to take over Scandinavian countries, Denmark, Norway. So we went over this already. 1, Lebensraum, living space, naval advantage, so you can maybe have an advantage against Great Britain. Okay, we know that they had the strongest military, well, their strongest navy, sorry. And Germany wanted to try to target it, get back at them from the Treaty of Versailles, right? 3, resources like iron, create a stronger military force. Describe Germany's invasion of France. Within your response, detail the invasion route, time it took for Germany to take over France, tactics used, and detail the surrender of France. So there's a lot there. Okay, so it went through the Low Countries, Netherlands and Belgium, Luxembourg, because it was an easier route. Why try to target and attack France through the Maginot Line? It's heavily defended. Forget about it. So let's march through these smaller countries. And that's what Germany did, very similar to what the Schlieffen Plan was. This time they had blitzkrieg, lightning warfare at their advantage. And it only took a little bit over a month for Germany to take over France. And it was pretty quick. It was fast. It was devastating. We all know that Paris is located pretty much maybe not even 100 miles away from the Belgian border. So it's an easy attack there. It's pretty close. Once they took over Paris, right, Hitler was taking pictures in front of the Eiffel Tower, rubbing it in. It's like someone maybe taking a picture in front of the Statue of Liberty or something like that if they ever take over America. Oh, that better not happen. And with that being said, he did take out this rail car that the first treaty was signed in, Wagon of Champagne, right? And he tried to humiliate France with this armistice in 1940. All right. Last one, detail how Great Britain survived the Blitz. Within your response, describe leadership, living conditions, and success that Great Britain had. So the Blitz we know as short for Blitzkrieg, Germany attacking many of these areas throughout Great Britain, civilian centers, you name it. The RAF combated against the Luftwaffe in the air and was very successful, taking out a lot of these airplanes and these fighters and bombers, you name it. Many of the citizens in Great Britain had to live in the subway tunnels, underground, create bunkers in their backyards and even in their homes to try to protect themselves from the constant bombing runs. It was like these people could never get any sleep. Right? A lot of the times the Blitz happened over, at nighttime. and it was constant sirens going off, bombs going off, and Germany was really trying to force Great Britain into surrender. So the people, it was almost like they're nocturnal in a way. It's like, oh, during the day we'll try to, live our lives and try to, run. It's like a rodent kind of, trying to live its life while during the day trying to grab and live and grab resources and eat food, whatever they could do, and at night they hunkered down, right, in the subway tunnels, protect themselves. Okay, and radar helped benefit Great Britain. Tried to detect some of these Luftwaffe bombers, and they were very successful at preventing too much destruction to the point where they had to surrender. So, Great Britain surviving it, living on, and to live to fight another day. Is there any questions on that? We good? All right, like I said, there's a lot of information there. That's why I broke it up into this section here. All right, bell ringer for today. Oh, don't look, don't look. Darn. All right, so bell ringer for today. At the time of 1940, when World War II was raging on, there we go, on in Europe, do you think the U.S. was prepared for this world conflict? Who's depending on America to get involved with this war? There we go. This is going to kind of push us into where America is going to step closer and closer to getting involved in World War II. So I'll give you some time to work on this, and we'll reconvene. Go ahead, man. All right, so let's go over this. At the time of 1940, when World War II was raging on in Europe, do you think the U.S. was prepared for this world conflict? What do we think? What do we have here? Troy, what do you got, buddy?
No, because they were still recovering from the depression.
Yeah, good job, right? So one of the biggest things is that the United States was going through this depression since 1929. Right? Many of these other countries, like the Soviet Union, like Germany, Italy, okay, even Japan, were expanding. They had strong militaries. They were, in some ways, doing pretty well, well off economically. But the United States, we know, kind of impacted the rest of the world with their depression, and they were struggling. Yeah, they were struggling. Good. What else? Serene, what do you have, buddy?
I have no, they were not, because their military industry is not yet built up.
Yeah, yeah, good job. So really, at the end of World War One, it was kind of an agreement with the whole world to maybe just calm down on the military expansion. Now, building up to World War One, there was a lot of need for many of these countries to build up their navy, build up their military, look to advance their technology in fighting on the ground and out in the seas and even in the air. But once this Great War is ended, the war to end all wars, right? Many countries, especially U.S., have resolved and resorted back to just peacetime supplies and products rather than building up the military. So it just seemed like the U.S. really wasn't prepared. Okay, at one time they were the third largest navy. Okay, at one time they had a strong military force that wasn't really experienced, but still had a large number of people involved. But at the end of World War One, they kind of sat back, relaxed, and kind of watched the rest of the world advance with their military technology and different types of tactics and strategies when the U.S. kind of just sat back. All right, good. And then finally, who was depending on America to get involved with this war? Who was depending on America to get involved? George, you paying attention, buddy? All right, good. Lance? Yeah, Great Britain. Good job. We left off, right, with Great Britain, the only allied power left in Europe. France took the shellacking, right? Now Great Britain sitting on their island. They're just trying to survive. They're getting bombarded by bombs. Okay, they're getting bombarded by the Luftwaffe, but they're still holding on. People living in subway tunnels, in bunkers. Not very nice, or obviously what they wanted, but it is what it is. They're still surviving. And Winston Churchill is doing his best to try to reach out to America for supplies, for armaments. Why do you think the U.S. kind of just sat back on this? Why did they not help Great Britain out in these times of need, in these times? Kiara? Yeah, good job. These neutrality acts, right? So Congress believed the best way to stay out of this war is to make sure that we're not trading with these belligerent countries, to make sure that we're not trying to aid them out anyway. Because in the First World War, that's how the U.S. got involved. That's how they got dragged into this war. Also, what else is a concern for America? If they want to try to supply Great Britain, if they want to try to help in some case, or some shape or form. Lance?
They weren't supposed to, because they weren't supposed to fight the war.
Yeah, with the neutrality acts, that's what Kiara said. But what else was a concern now? Well, I wasn't trying to trash you with that one, but what else was a concern now, you think? You said it earlier, I think, first period. What did Germany have that America was really fearful to travel across that Atlantic Ocean? Yeah, the U-boats, submarines, right? Submarine warfare. As Germany's expanding their navy with their advancement into Norway, Denmark, they're trying to cut off any type of trade coming into Great Britain. We know Great Britain's an island. The only way they can survive is resources coming from their imperialistic countries and aid and support from America, which America wasn't helping with this Neutrality Act. But the best way to try to eliminate your opposition is cut off supplies coming in. That being said, the Atlantic Ocean was pretty much littered with U-boats. We're going to talk about this Atlantic convoy eventually. But anybody, there was another movie. Did anybody see the one with Tom Hanks? It just came out last year, I believe. I forget what it's called now. Oh, think it might be Atlantic Convoy. I gotta check. No, it's the Greyhound. The Greyhound, I believe. Not the transport like the bus or anything like that, but it's the Greyhound. It's pretty interesting. If they haven't done so, check it out. It was really just the fear of many of these Atlantic or these ships, these convoy supply ships traveling across the Atlantic Ocean. Now, let's face it, is there anywhere to run out in the middle of the ocean? If you get sunk, where are you going to swim to? You can't. You're pretty much done for. Okay, especially since it's freezing and there's no way you can swim all the way to Europe or back to America. So, all right, we'll talk about that, like I said, a little bit more, maybe towards the end of the week or next week. All right, there we are. Oh, last thing. So what is Japan doing at this time? We kind of left off and just focused on Europe, but what's Japan doing throughout the 30s and into the 1940s? What are they doing? I'm sure America's not too happy about this. What do you think? What do you think? Stream, what do we got? What do we know?
They're invading China.
Yeah, good job. These Sino-Japanese wars in China. So really, Japan's having their way. Okay, they're having their way with Asia. Okay, they're having their way with these islands out here in the Pacific. And eventually, what was a military base that the U.S. acquired at the end of the Spanish-American War? What was it? It was an island out there. They're getting closer and closer to that island. Sooner or later, it's about to crack. Griffin? Oh, okay, Guam, yeah. Think about a different one. Dream?
Philippines.
The Philippines. Yeah, good job. The Philippines. Okay. So the U.S. acquired the Philippines at the end of the Spanish-American War. And sooner or later, look how close it is. Japan's really, really close. And as they're expanding into China, even parts of, oh my gosh, Russia is getting even pounded by a little bit. Right down in here to Vietnam, moving up into, India. Who controls India at this time? Great Britain. Yeah, good job. It's their crown jewel. So now they're threatening Great Britain as well. Oh boy, but Great Britain's stuck. They're like, oh, we're getting bombarded, we're getting pounded over here. All right, so that's where we're at. That's where we're at. I think I talked about Japan early in the year, or early in the semester, and I explained a little bit what they're doing. But they're imperialistic, which is one of the terms for today. Here we go. All right, so new set of vocab terms, starting it off fresh. Please fill them out. Please fill them out. If you don't, if you're just sitting there, that's your own fault. This is your study guide, kind of, in a way. These terms is what we're going to be talking about today. Bellringers, study guide. We got that? Yeah? Okay. Vocab, Bellringers. Also, I record every single video. Takes a lot of time and work for me on my end. So if you're unsure about something, if you're looking at topics and you're confused, oh yeah, let's just go back to the YouTube page and check out the video. Just throwing it out there, okay? Just throwing it out there. Hopefully someone will bite on. Some of you will bite on. Some of the people at home will bite on. Okay, I just had to say that. All right, there you go. Imperial Japan, Pearl Harbor, Battle of Philippines, Lend-Lease Act. There we go. What do you think, Grace? Are we winning? We're close? Oh, gotta win. Hopefully we'll win. Of course. All right, so what do we have for Imperial Japan? What do we got? What do we have for Imperial Japan? Would like to share their response for this here. Troy, what do you have, buddy?
Empire of Japan that existed from 1868 to 1947.
Yeah, good job. And I know I mentioned this earlier in the year. When Japan was becoming an imperialistic empire, it really started when the United States opened up trade with them back in the mid 1800s, late 1800s. Okay. And from there on, they became an industrial power. They started increasing their navy as well, to a point where it was even as it was even as I wouldn't say it was better than Great Britain, but it was up there for sure. I would say they would be top three, top two naval fleets during World War II, moving up into the 1930s and the early 1900s. So yeah, Japan needed to expand, right? We know that Japan is an island. Their only way to survive is gaining and grabbing more resources and expanding their territory, their boundaries. So real quick, here's what Japan looks like 1941. Let me pull it up here for you. Please check this out. There you go. Look at that. So Japan, that small island here, I don't call it small, but it's an island. And they're expanding out here into parts of Asia, parts of China. What we know is modern day Korea, okay, up into Mongolia and even parts of the Soviet Union. Okay, they expanded pretty far. And the reason for that is because of they needed fuel. They needed a way of creating a stronger military, industrialization. And down here, especially, okay, Taiwan, down here into French Indochina, which is modern day Vietnam, Thailand. Okay, moving up into, India is right over here. And especially down here in the Dutch East Indies, the Philippines, which is the United States military base, an island that they controlled their territory. All right, we'll get to that soon, but that's one of the first, I guess you say maybe second major defeats at Japan's hands against the United States. All right, so that's their expansion here, 1942, moving up in the 1940s. So they're really showing their dominance, their military power in the parts of Asia. All right, where are we at here now? I wanted to show a video. We'll see if we get there or not. Pearl Harbor, what do you have? What do we got? Jeffrey, what do you have for Pearl Harbor?
Japan's surprising military attack on the United States located at Pearl Harbor Base in Honolulu that happened December 7th, 1941.
Yeah, good job. So this is a surprise attack, right? December 7th, 1941. So make sure you guys remember that date. It's very, very important. December 7th, 1941. This is a surprise attack, right? On the, right in Hawaii, okay? The military base in Hawaii. Obviously, we know that's going to get closer and closer and closer. If they continue to march and continue to, island hop, eventually maybe it will be the West Coast. So Pearl Harbor. I like to talk about it today, but we'll just save it for tomorrow. How about that? Battle of Philippines. What do we have? Kiara, what do you got? Well, I guess you could say the initial part of it. All right, so in 1941, Japan came down pretty much right at the end of Pearl Harbor, really the next day, pushed America out of the Philippines. Douglas MacArthur, he's the general, the supreme commander in the Pacific Theater. He acts like the Terminator during this time. He says, I'll be back. He goes, I'll be back. And he does come back and eventually takes the Philippines back over. But Battle of Philippines, initially 1941, Japan takes over that that territory that was established and controlled by America since the end of the Spanish-American War. All right, with Pearl Harbor, we all know that is the start of World War II for America, right? And there are some cases where Great Britain intercepted a message and knew about this attack, and they didn't inform the United States about it. Oh, maybe, I don't know. Who knows if that's true or not. But that was a way of Great Britain making sure that the U.S. gets involved and helps them out, especially over in Europe. All right, so Lend-Lease Act, what do we have? What do we have? Lend-Lease Act. Griffin, what do you have for the Lend-Lease Act?
The Lend-Lease Act had given President Roosevelt virtually unlimited authority to write material aid, such as ammunition, tanks, airplanes, trucks.
Good job, good job. So right at the end of Pearl Harbor, as America's getting involved, these neutrality acts are just getting tossed aside here, right? Okay. Finally, FDR has the ability to help benefit these allied powers, specifically Great Britain and Europe, okay? And they can finally aid Great Britain with supplies to combat against Germany. All right, so now we see America stepping closer and closer to war. Is America ready for this war, though? No, they're not. They're going to have to do a lot of things, especially on the home front, to try to prepare for it. So I wanted to get into Pearl Harbor, but how about I save it for tomorrow? We only have a couple minutes left. So I'll save Pearl Harbor for tomorrow. Any questions? The main thing I want you to know is that America's nowhere near ready for it. Okay, there's no way that can help benefit Europe or Great Britain just yet. And at the same time, now they're getting attacked by Japan, right in the Pacific. Oh boy, this is going to be a huge challenge. All right, that's all I got.